Regional Director for CRS and Europe and the Middle East, Mark Schnellbaecher, came to Cabrini on October 26th to share his experiences and insights on what the role of non-governmental organizations may be in the Middle East going forward, as well as how people in countries such as Egypt, Libya, and Tunisia are transitioning from being subjects to citizens.
What we have now, I would say, I don't think we can call it democracy. I think the most accurate description at this stage of the game, including with what happened in Tunisia the other day, is probably something like pluralist competition. They're very much right now, one of the most exciting things that's happening in the Middle East right now are the discussions, debates, and arguments that are going on among citizens of different countries about what it means to be a citizen. What are our rights? What are our responsibilities? For so long, they didn't have any public responsibilities. I think we're going to see a lot of different looks to what these democracies end up looking like. And some of them aren't going to be democracies. I think some of them which are more, there's probably a reason why it started in Tunis, why the elections were first held in Tunis. It's also got the most liberal family law in the entire Arab world. The rights of women are more protected in Tunisia than in other places. That's probably got something to do with its history as a French colony, the fact that it sits right there across from Italy. The influences are different than they are in Iraq, let's say. So I think we're going to see some very different permutations of what people come to.
During the second half of the presentation, 4 members of Cabrini's faculty took to the stage for a panel-style discussion of their thoughts on the Arab Spring.
So historically, 30 years ago, you had this kind of negative perception of the Middle East, the Arab world, the Islamic world. And the idea of the Arab Spring might seem to suggest that we are turning a corner there, that this is a positive representation. And I think there's truth in that, but Said, the great critic of Orientalism, would no doubt have argued that we are being just as simplifying and reductive when we talk about the Arab Spring, if only for the fact that we're assuming that this was a world that was broken and now it needs to be fixed by Western values. The Occupy Wall Street movement, which is now spreading all over, many of those organizers have pointed to the Arab Spring as their inspiration. And I think there's much that's to be learned from that. There's much that's wonderful in that. But the danger there is that we take the Arab Spring and then make it about us again.
You take a dictator out, and there's a rush for power to fill that vacuum. Now, we don't know how it's going to turn out. But one thing we can learn from analyzing our own system of politics and economics is that it demands something that we might call a democratic personality, something that we take for granted. Democracy doesn't make the people make the democracy. And if we don't understand what a democratic personality is for us, how are we going to understand and appreciate what a democratic personality might mean in the Middle East?
As I talk about in my contemporary social problems class, there is a great danger in seeking solutions to social problems, because the solutions themselves can very, very quickly become problems as you try to begin a new social system that gets somebody to behave in a way that you think is right and just.
I was really reflecting on that notion about these young people in the Middle East, because I also, as I think Dr. Wright said, you shouldn't have a stereotype that, oh, that's like a Muslim running around, you know what I mean? They all act the same way and they all think the same way, because indeed they have their own vernacular religion. They are interpreting what Islam is for themselves, and perhaps what we're seeing is that interpretation of their religion is really causing these political changes in a really significant and important way.
For Location, I'm Jimmy Kroll.